If there's one thing that's become undeniably clear over the last decade, it's that the NBA is completely controlled by analytics. Every decision, roster moves, playstyle, contracts, is dictated by data. Teams rely on stats like three-point percentage, wingspan, and scoring averages as if they're playing a real-life video game. The mastermind behind this analytics revolution, Daryl Morey, his philosophy, now famously known as Morey Ball, reshaped modern basketball, emphasizing three-pointers and layups while devaluing the mid-range shot. The idea was simple: crack the numbers, crack the game. But not everyone is on board. Critics argue that this numbers-first approach has made the game too predictable, draining the excitement. Still, for teams chasing wins, analytics rule. If the data says it works, then nothing else matters. And then there's Jimmy Butler. At 35 years old, Butler is an anomaly, a glitch in the NBA's modern system. He's not an elite three-point shooter. He doesn't have extraordinary size. And if you just looked at his stats, you'd think he was just another role player. By today's metrics, he shouldn't be this good. Yet, everywhere he goes, he turns teams into contenders. And in 2025, he's doing it again, taking the Warriors from a forgotten afterthought to a legitimate championship threat. They've won 10 straight games with Butler in the lineup. Every locker room he's been in, a winning locker room. So how is Jimmy Butler doing this? Why don't his numbers reflect his true impact? And the biggest question of all, is Jimmy Butler proving that analytics have limits? The Warriors' breaking point before the 2025 trade deadline, the Warriors were in serious trouble. Loss after loss, the team was falling apart. Steph Curry looked frustrated. Fans were desperate for answers. Some argued the Warriors needed another top 20 superstar. Others thought they needed a true point guard to run the offense. And many believed it was time to blow it all up and rebuild. But instead of making a blockbuster trade, the Warriors landed Jimmy Butler. At first glance, this wasn't a game-changing move. Through 25 games with the Heat, Butler was averaging just 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, far from all-star numbers. Even NBA 2K didn't believe in him, ranking Butler as just the 48th best player in the league. By the numbers, the Warriors should have collapsed. But instead, the exact opposite happened. They went from rock bottom to dominance overnight. And suddenly, they weren't just a playoff team, they looked like title contenders. This shouldn't have worked. If analytics were the ultimate truth, how did the Warriors turn their season around by adding a player that the stats were against? It gets even crazier. Butler's efficiency actually got worse after joining Golden State. His effective field goal percentage dropped to 47.3%, the same category as Russell Westbrook, a player constantly criticized for inefficiency. And yet, the Warriors kept winning because of him. He's breaking everything the modern NBA is built on, the idea that numbers dictate success. So, if the numbers are lying, what's the truth? The Jimmy Butler effect: there are things in basketball that numbers will never capture. If I just told you that, you might not believe it, so instead, let me show you. In 2020 NBA Finals, the Miami Heat were already huge underdogs against the Lakers, but things got even worse in Game 3 when they lost Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic, their second and third best players. At that point, it wasn't just an uphill battle, it was like climbing Everest with no oxygen. But Jimmy Butler didn't care. He dropped a 40-point triple-double without hitting a single three-pointer, and after scoring a tough bucket on LeBron James, the guy who had been to 9 of the last 10 finals, Butler looked him dead in the eyes and said, "You're in trouble." Just think about that. Short-handed, outmatched, on the biggest stage, and talking trash to one of the greatest of all time. And what makes it even crazier? Jimmy believed it. 2023 NBA playoffs, the upset the Miami Heat, an 8th seed, faced the Milwaukee Bucks, the best regular season team in the NBA. Jimmy didn't back down for a second. He put up historic performances, completely dominated Milwaukee, and led Miami to one of the biggest upsets in NBA history, becoming just the 6th, 8th seed to ever take down a first seed. And now, in 2025, Jimmy Butler is proving that some things in basketball can't be measured: heart, leadership, mentality. Maybe that's why every team he joins becomes a contender. Maybe that's why he keeps defying the odds. And maybe, just maybe, Jimmy Butler is the NBA's biggest cheat code. He looked his opponent dead in the eye and said it, "I own you." He didn't just defeat the best team in the league, he humiliated them. He let them know, every single possession, that they weren't built like him. Because Jimmy Butler isn't in the NBA to make friends. He doesn't beg for help. He doesn't team up with superstars. And that's exactly why he's been criticized and bounced around the league. Not every team is built for his mentality. Jimmy Butler plays with a relentless fire every possession, every moment, every second. This is what separates good players from great ones, the dog factor. You won't find it in a box score. It won't show up in advanced analytics. And honestly, numbers can't even quantify it. But Jimmy, he has it in spades. Yet, time and time again, NBA teams look at his 17.55 stat line and think, nothing special, and that's why they let him walk, over and over again. When Jimmy first joined the Warriors, I didn't know what to expect. The team was struggling. The season was slipping away, and yet Jimmy stood there, unshaken. Like King Leonidas facing an army of 300, he didn't flinch. Most superstars, maybe even all of them, wouldn't have the nerve to say that. But Jimmy Butler, that's just who he is, because, as the saying goes, life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. And that's the dog factor, the thing numbers will never measure. Most NBA players understand the idea of making their teammates better on a surface level, but do they truly understand it? Even Kobe Bryant, a player with every offensive move in the book, a lockdown defender, a 5-time champion, admitted there was one more level to his game. Not a skill, not better footwork, but the ability to make his teammates better. It's not always an assist on the box score, it's not something you can track in plus minus, but the impact, it's undeniable. Just look at what happened when Jimmy Butler joined the Miami Heat. For 2 seasons, Bam Adebayo was a decent role player, good but nothing special. Then in 2020, Jimmy arrived, and suddenly, Bam became a double-double machine, an all-star, and one of the best defensive players in the league. That's the Jimmy Butler effect. And now look at Steph Curry. Before Jimmy joined Golden State, whispers of Steph slowing down were getting louder. Doubt was creeping in. But now, Steph is setting defenses on fire again. The unmeasurable greatness, Jimmy Butler elevates his teammates. But there's no stat for that, no flashy metric, no NBA formula to measure it. But if that's not the essence of an MVP, then what is? Never let numbers define you. Think about it. We live in a world where numbers seem to define everything, your intelligence, your status, your worth. But here's the truth, numbers don't measure heart, they don't measure resilience, they don't measure the fire inside you. Because if they did, Jimmy Butler wouldn't be where he is today. An unranked recruit out of high school, the last pick in the first round of the NBA draft, traded, doubted, overlooked again and again, and yet at every stop, he's rewritten the narrative. Because as Jimmy keeps proving, numbers don't define you. Only you define that, the Warrior mindset. And that's what I love about Jimmy Butler. It's not about basketball, it's about never being intimidated. No matter the odds, it's about never backing down from Goliath just because he's bigger. It's about believing in yourself and the people around you until the very end. That kind of mindset, it changes everything. And now that he's on the Warriors, his impact is undeniable. Meanwhile, on the other side of the league, while Jimmy Butler is elevating a team, the Dallas Mavericks front office is tearing one down. Somehow, instead of making their team better, they've managed to make it worse, to a level I don't think I've ever seen before. And Luka, he's exposing it with every game. What should have been a routine victory for the Warriors turned into a post-game controversy. Despite Jimmy Butler's impressive triple-double, the spotlight shifted to a last-second shot that left the Portland Trail Blazers furious, and it seemed to rattle Butler as well. After the game, a tense moment between Butler and coach Steve Kerr was caught on video, sparking speculation about what went down. Kerr later admitted he was the one who told Butler to take the shot, adding another layer to the drama. Here's how it all unfolded. With the Warriors leading 130-120 and only seconds remaining, Jimmy Butler found himself in a tough spot. The game was already decided, and standard etiquette suggested he should just let the clock run out. But after glancing at Steve Kerr on the sideline, Butler made a split-second decision. He took the open jumper, and just like that, the Trailblazers were heated. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more NBA-related updates.